You guys, we have so much to cover, so let's just dive right into it. Just saying. What's up, you guys, and welcome back to So by GG 101. Today is Wednesday, which could only mean one thing. It's time for a recap, review, whatever, of Pretty Little Liars presents The Perfectionist. And you guys, we are going to talk about a lot of things. So first, let's just dive into the episode. So it starts off with Caitlin, Dylan, and Ava sitting at the table having a meeting like they are part of the Babysitters Club with the gum wrapper on the table. And then Mason walks over because they're all saying it's got to be Mason, trying to figure out what his motive is, not really understanding. So Mason starts to walk over. They snatch the gum wrapper off the table and put it in their pocket, which I still do not understand because it's a gum wrapper. That's like me grabbing my Trident pack off the table because I'm afraid he's going to see it and know that I know he chews Trident. I don't get it. Is there like a specific gum that only he and the new A chew on? I don't get it. It wasn't that serious. But that's neither here nor there. So Mason comes over and he proves himself to be the absolute biggest male reproductive organ on the face of the earth. And he's like, so check it out. I'm the new Nolan, okay? You, Caitlin, you're my girlfriend again. You, Dylan, you're gonna write my papers again. And you, Ava, you can just exist. Because nobody knows why you exist, but you do. So you could just live your best life all the way over there. And everybody, including myself, is looking at homeboy like, where did you come from? Like, for real, for real. Where did you come from? Because no entiendo. I don't understand. I do not understand at all where you came from. You're rude. Like, guys, he made me mad. He made me really, really mad. So now everybody is like, what? So now Caitlin comes up with this plan, right? And Caitlin's all like, listen.
Mason, trust me. We've been friends since middle school or elementary school. Me, Mason, Nolan, he is not going to harm me. I can probably get him to confess, that he freaking killed Nolan.
Dylan is like, I don't think that that's a good idea. And she's like,
trust me. He trusts me. I'm going to use that to my advantage.
And Dylan's like, fine, but you have Ava and I to back you up. Okay. So she walks away and is starting to plot meeting with Mason and getting him to admit that he had something to do or did commit the death of Nolan. And so Ava pretty much brings up what Mason said about his secret. And Dylan is like, I'm gonna tell you, but I just can't tell you now because there's someone else that I have to tell first. So we all know at this point that Dylan's secret is that he slept with Nolan while he was still with his boyfriend. Even though I don't think they were exclusive at that point. I'm not sure. It's unclear to me. If you guys picked up on that, let me know in the comments down below. I'd appreciate it because to me, I'm not sure if they were exclusive or not. But basically, he walks in to his apartment and his boyfriend finds a pamphlet that states that if Dylan does not stop like this incessant, obsessive playing of his instrument, he's going to permanently damage all the nerves that allow him to make all his beautiful music. And so, Dylan gets mad, but then Dylan's like, okay, I can't even get mad about this because there's something more serious I have to tell you. And Dylan confesses that he slept with Nolan. And needless to say, his boyfriend, or maybe it's now his ex-boyfriend, I don't know, he's not happy about that. So now Dylan has to deal with that. So back on the ranch, Caitlin goes and meets with Mason. And Mason is pretty much just like, listen, I know your secret. And I know that you're dating Jeremy. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to stop dating Jeremy. Because if you don't stop, I'm going to tell your secret. Now, at this point, I don't get it. Because to me, the only two secrets that I knew about Caitlin, and I think we all knew about Caitlin, was that A, her mothers are lesbians and one cheated on her wife. And that she's dating Jeremy. And she's been dating Jeremy because she wasn't actually dating Nolan. So, like, I didn't understand. Like, I mean, I get it. Because her mother's a politician, and if that came out that she cheated, that'd be a horrific scandal. But I just didn't really understand how that was such a big a deal in comparison to like everybody else, if that makes any sense. Basically, once he alludes to whatever secret she has, she cowers and he tells her, listen, so here's what's going to happen. You and I, we're back together again. You and Jeremy, that no longer exists. If I see it, I'm going to tell. Got it? Great. And he walks away because, again, we've established this. He is the biggest male reproductive organ, bigger than Nolan, bigger than Noel Khan, probably bigger than Allison in the beginning of the show. The original show, that is. So Ava walks over because, oh, you guys, we got to go down the memory lane again. Ava sends a text message to Caitlin right before she meets Mason and says, I see you, A. And like, got the feels. We got the feels. So Ava walks over as soon as Mason walks off and he's like, what's wrong? You've seen a ghost. And Caitlin's like, nothing. I don't want to talk about it. Now, she had agreed to record the conversation so that way they would have proof if he did incriminate himself. So Ava brings that up and she's like, I said I don't want to talk about it. It's fine. I handled it. She walks off. Ava knows she's lying. Everyone can tell when Caitlin's lying. So right before she went to go see Mason, like earlier that day, because she saw Mason that evening, earlier that day, she went to go meet up with Claire because Claire had texted her when she was having her Babysitters Club meeting with the gum wrapper, and she was like, we need to talk. So she goes to Claire and she basically tells them, listen, I cannot spy on them. They're my friends and I'm not going to. And the new Tanner, aka Booker, has the wrong people. So like, she needs to lay off. And she goes, besides, we were all with Allison all night. And Claire goes, all night? And she goes, all night. Now, Claire knows that that's a lie because they do have the three of them walking off from the little section right before Nolan was impaled. It's the nicest way I can say that. So she then calls Booker and tells her that Caitlin lied to her face and to turn up the heat. And then that's when we see Caitlin go that evening to meet with Mason. So we covered Caitlin up to this point, and we've covered Dylan. Let's talk about Ava. We still know nothing about her. End of story. I mean, there's a little bit more. She walks into her dorm after seeing Mason and after talking to Caitlin, after Caitlin had seen Mason, and she finds actually, she goes to Dylan and tells Dylan that they need to talk because Caitlin just lied to her face. And then after talking to Dylan, after Dylan tried to call her and she didn't pick up her phone for obvious reasons, homegirl is shook. She goes back to her dorm and she hears Beautiful Dreamers, which is a beautiful old school song. If you've never heard it, YouTube it because your girl ain't singing it on this channel. And that was a song that her father dedicated to her or would sing to her when she was a little girl. And so she runs to the door looking for her father. She runs to the window looking for her father. And she has a flashback memory of when she first came to BHU. Nobody knew who she was, which is something else we learned because I think up until now we just assumed everybody knew who Ava Jalali was. But in reality, they didn't, guys. They didn't. And so Ava is now like, Daddy, are you back? And she's now in deep thought. And then we see her drawing a picture of her when she was little. And knockety knock, knock, knock. It's Caitlin. And Caitlin says, I know that you know that I lied to you and I want to tell you the truth. And basically, Caitlin revealed to Ava that Nolan had told her that he was dating her after he'd found out about Jeremy. And that she did background research on Ava and found out who she was because she didn't go by Ava Jalali at that point. She went by her middle name. Maybe her middle name is Jalali. I don't, no. Her last name has to be Jalali. But yeah, she went by her middle name and no one knew who she was. And she only told one person, but that one person told someone else and it snowballed. And that's how Ava Jalali became known on campus. And she admitted that she was the rat that they had been referenced in the last episode and in actually the very beginning of this episode. And Ava gets pissed. Ava gets pissed, and Ava kicks her out. Now, I'm not saying Ava's wrong for being upset, but people always know what to say to the right people. Because if I were Caitlyn and Ava yelled at me the way she yelled at Caitlyn, I would be like, listen, I was wrong. I'm not saying I wasn't. And I am very sorry because now I know you and I know what kind of a person you are. And I'm so sorry, girl. But we still don't know one thing about you. We don't know what your secret is. So you should not be yelling at anybody in this room when you still have secrets. But you know, Caitlyn's not that kind of a person. So that didn't happen. So I know you guys are thinking, all right, Gigi, we've spent the last 12 minutes, holy mackerels, talking about Caitlyn, Ava, and Dylan, but what about Allison and Mona? Well, as we know from the previews last week, Mona had created her own kind of coding within the BHU software. And whoever it was that had shut everything down the night Nolan died had hacked that software. And they came up with like matching partners. So they matched Caitlyn and Allison together. And no one really understands why. If I had to match Caitlyn to anybody in Pretty Little Liars, I would match her to Spencer, but it's just me. But she was matched to Allison. Then another person pops up named Ray Hagedorn. And the reason why I remember his name is because at my college, we do have a building called Hagedorn. And I just thought that was quite serendipitous. Maybe he went to my college, or maybe he paid for a building. I don't know. But so now Mona's trying to find out who Ray Hagedorn is, and she goes through all her CSI Mona things to find it. And Allison comes across these series of Wizard of Oz books, and she finds out that they belong to Taylor Hotchkiss, and she gives them to Mrs. Hotchkiss. And Mrs. Hotchkiss says something that I caught on to be quite sinister. Not sinister, but suspicious. And Allison didn't realize it till later on. But she said that because in the book of the Wizard of Oz, there's a map. And Mrs. Hotchkiss said that Taylor had a way of making her own imprint on top of blueprints or something like that. And I thought right then and there, okay, obviously that map in the book that she wrote over is a map to where she actually is. And no one is smart enough to figure that out, apparently. So Mona and Allison were talking, and apparently right before, Mona was playing chess with her mysterious online person. And I must say, every time she plays chess with this mysterious online person, something happens. Either it's she gets information or something just happens. Something just happens. So, Mona actually meets Ray Hagedorn while she goes to the library and meets with Caitlyn, because she meets with Caitlyn to see what she has in common with Allison. The exterminator drops a screwdriver, and it lands like a knife in a board onto the desk. And that's her first meeting Ray Hagedorn, but she doesn't know it. So Mona does a search to find out who Ray Hagedorn is, and she finds him, and he's located in an abandoned, soon-to-be abolished building in a far wing of BHU. And we'll get back to that. Pause. She goes to meet him, but she's also supposed to meet the chess player too. So I don't know if she stood the chess player man up that she's never met before to find this Ray Hagedorn, or if they're one and the same. I don't know, but we're going to pause on that. So back on the ranch with Allison. Allison and Mona had a conversation about it being over. She said that she saw Emily with the girls on Instagram and she's not wearing her ring. Now, at this point, we're all confused because it's like you're married, but you're on the opposite end of the country from your wife and your 2 children. Why? So we all know something's wrong. And basically what it boils down to is that Emily wanted a divorce and Allison couldn't bring herself to sign the papers. and she's drinking a glass of wine. She looks at a picture of her and Emily with the girls, and she sends an email because Emily did text her like 4 times throughout the episode back to back. And she said, I'm sorry, this last part has just been really, really hard for me. She hits send, and then she signs these documents, which we already know are divorce papers. And Emison is over, but it's over the same way it started, in a motherfucking mist of confusion. And where the F did this come from? No one saw them getting together. No one saw them getting a divorce. That's a lie. I think we all saw them getting a divorce. Why? Because them being together just didn't make any sense. Where did it come from? Where? So right after she signs the paper, she looks at the Wizard of Oz books that belong to Taylor. She looks at the map again and realizes what Mrs. Hotchkiss said, because it took her half the episode to realize that. I guess she was more pressed about divorcing Emily. So she opens the book. She notices what Taylor had crossed out, and she goes off to find the specific location Taylor had written in, and she finds it. And it's a park that's closed down and says no trespassing. And in true Allison form, she trespasses. So let's go back to Mona. Or let's just recap from here. Mona goes off to find a mystery man, and Allison wanders into no trespassing woods. What do you think happened? I'm going to tell you what happened. Mona found a lair. Of course Mona found a lair. Mona is the queen of lairs. Mona always finds herself in a lair. If she's not making a lair, she's in a dollhouse, or she's creating her own dollhouse, or she's now finding the lair of Ray Hagedorn, which I already, spoiler alert, told you earlier, was the exterminator from the library. And Allison finds herself in the woods. Now, you guys, this is when I'm like, duh, were you not paying attention? Allison walks into the woods, and she comes right up to a lake, and right off the shore of the lake is a trailer with a car attached. She opens up the trailer, and she finds blood, blood. And then there's more blood leaking. There's blood on the counter. There's blood leaking from the cabinet. She opens the cabinet. She finds the missing book, because Mona said that her Wizard of Oz series of books was missing one. And she named that book. It was The Patch Girl or something like that. And she found it in there. All of a sudden, the door opens. A blonde with a hat walks in. And who is it? Oh, it's Taylor Swift. I'm just waiting for somebody to tell me that they're shocked. So what do you think happened? Come on, y'all are smart. She's in a trailer that is attached to a car. Now, when I first saw this trailer and I saw that it was attached to a car, and I saw Allison open the door, personally, I said, me personally, I wouldn't go in there because it's attached to a car. I wouldn't do that if I were you. But Allison is not me. And what happens? Taylor walks in. She goes, Taylor. Taylor runs out the door, closes the door, and locks it. And all of a sudden, the trailer moves. Again, are we surprised? Because I automatically envisioned Taylor getting in that car, driving it right into the lake, and leaving it. Anybody else surprised? I'm not. I'm just saying. So it ended in a quite ironic way. So that's the whole recap of what happened. So like I said, this is going on long enough. I just kind of want to jump into some theories. So my first theory is that whoever Mona is talking to online through chess is connected, is the new A. They're somehow connected. Ray Hagedorn, I don't think he is anyone serious. You guys mentioned in the comments of last week's episode that you felt like Mason and Zoe were just red herrings. I kind of think Ray Hagedorn might be a red herring. I think he might have a lot of information, but I don't think he's connected to Nolan's death. I do think that Claire knows that Taylor is alive, but couldn't somehow figure out how to find where her own child is, which shows how much attention she paid to her. But brings Allison in because she knows She knows Allison's background history. Allison does in fact favor Taylor a lot. And I think she was making that Allison would find Taylor for her. I don't think Claire Hotchkiss really believed that Taylor was dead. I'm just going to put that out there. So those are the two theories that I have hypothesized thus far. What about you guys? What do you guys think? You guys know I try to keep these videos so short for you, but it just don't be happening. So much be happening, and you know we gotta have a conversation. We gotta talk. We gotta psychotherapy it out. You guys, this is such a great show, and I'm loving it because, like I said in the beginning, when this show first came out, we were all over Pretty Little Liars. And a lot of you agreed with that consensus in my comments down below. Yeah, we were kind of over it because it was 2 years. 2 years since Pretty Little Liars ended. And it's like, do we really want to start this again? But I really, really have been enjoying that this is its own show and that bits and pieces of Pretty Little Liars are popped up here and there, because we all know Pretty Little Liars just ended on a WTF note. Like, we still had so many questions and we were still baffled by how it ended. The fact that Spoby did not end up together, the fact that Emerson got married. There was just so many things that didn't make any sense. And now I feel like Marlena King has heard our tweets, have heard our anger, our dismay with the ending. And this is her way of kind of fixing it, being able to fix it. And I appreciate that, because if you now notice, the very end of Pretty Little Liars is now different. Emerson is no longer together and Spoby is. And I think that that is amazing. But that is all, because you guys, we are at almost 24 minutes and it is going to take 3,000 years for this to upload to YouTube for you. So that is all that I have for you guys tonight. That is all that I have for you guys tonight. If you enjoyed this video and you want to see more like it, or if you enjoyed me and you want to see more from me, you know what to do. You have to be part of the GG Meister Merpod Squad and come swim with us on all of our adventures. How am I to do that? You're probably asking. Well, it's simple. All you have to do is rate, comment, subscribe, and share, because sharing is caring, and I'll be seeing you in my next video. Loves and likes ya. Bye.